What's going on? What's going on, y'all? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I know it's Monday in. This weekend was Mardi Gras. People probably all partied out. Then we had, the ultimate overtime Super Bowl situation. All the things. So Monday was Monday, and hopefully everybody has recovered from partying all weekend and we are back at it. It was a Monday for me, but I look forward to our Transform 314 shows because that's what we do. We get on here, we talk, and we speak truth to power. And something that I'm really, really excited about this Monday in particular, y'all, we have our first guest, okay, of the year. Our first guest of 2024. Mm. And it is no one but the chairwoman of the St. Louis County Council, representing the 4th District, y'all. Please show some love. Show some love for Mrs. Shalonda Webb.
Oh my introduction. I'm so worthy of it. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Welcome. Welcome.
Wow. Thank you so very much for having me as your guest, your first guest of 2024. Wow, that's a lot to live up to, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it all. And so I'm looking forward to engaging with you. And Kelly, before we even get started, let me just give credit where credit is due. You are exceptional. You are phenomenal in your compassion and your passion for our communities, to making sure that we're informed, whether it's about voting, whether it's about food insecurities. You are there in the cut every time for our communities. And I just want to say thank you to you, because when nobody knew a Shalonda Webb, and they probably got a lot of people that still don't know a Shalonda Webb, you was one
Uh-oh.
of the tough issues in our district. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I see a couple folks. We have some viewers. So I want people to know I'll be asking Chairwoman Webb some questions. If you all have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We don't believe in no foolery on Transform 314 platform. So keep it respectful. All right. Because we don't play that on our show. So again, thank you again, Chairwoman, just for taking the time, because you are a very busy lady. So thank you again for taking the time to connect with us. Now, before we get into some of the fun questions, um, for people that don't know who you are, can you please introduce yourself and let people know, what do you really do as Councilwoman?
Wow. So let's see. I'm going to keep it simple for everybody. Again, my name is Shalonda Webb. I'm a Southern girl. I'm from Port Arthur, Texas. I always tell people you don't know Port Arthur, Texas unless you listen to UGK rap. But we are one of the largest refinery towns in America, have more refineries than any other area. And so, born and raised there, met my husband, Stephen Webb, there. We went to high school together, and we just celebrated 25 years in marriage and 25 years in St. Louis. And our oldest son turned 25 years old and celebrated 25 years at the Boeing Company. So 1998 was my year. It was I call it my year, because I had all my life-changing experiences. I seen to do it all in one time. But again, from a small town, my mother and father, uh, my father was a refinery worker, a laborer all his life. He just retired, 48 years. My mother was a beautician and raised my sister and I. My dad and my mom divorced when I was about 12. Was not have an absentee father. My father was very engaged. In fact, he did all the cooking at his house and brought it to our house because my mom was at the beauty shop doing hair. So again, just a small town girl. I have one sibling. Um, my younger sister, who thinks she's the oldest. I don't know why y'all do that, young sisters and younger
Don't
siblings.
do that. Don't do that. Don't do that,
Everybody,
Chairwoman.
everybody. I'm just kidding. But again, small town girl, Ben. So I went to Fisk University. I am an HBCU graduate. I went to Fisk University, same alum of late Congressman John Lewis, and I think I got my nickname from here because they say, Shalonda, you stay in good trouble. And I said, well, that's what my alumni told me to do. So I try to stay in good trouble for the residents of North County here in District 4 for St. Louis County. But yeah, went to Fisk University, studied computer science. I've been a nerd all my life. People think that's just a tagline. No, I'm a nerd. Like in school, I dated my husband and I was a cheerleader and all, but he would have said I was his cool nerd. I've been a nerd all my life. So I started programming in high school, did it in college, and that's why I took the job as a software engineer at the Boeing company I started in November 1998. And so have had a phenomenal career there, continue to have a phenomenal career there. I have traveled internationally training foreign military customers on how to use our software products on their aircraft, and have always, since I moved here, but all my life have been a volunteer. So when I first moved here in 98, I think my husband and I were like 23 years old. We did junior achievement that spring of 99 at Hazelwood Central. And from junior achievement to Each One Teach One, Mentor St. Louis, we started our own youth organization. So always gave back. And so when people ask me, well, why did you start politics? And I was like, I didn't look at this as politics. I looked at this as a way to give back to my community because I felt in our district, District 4, out here near Hazelwood, Florissant, Blackjack, Spanish Lake, that we were not getting the leadership that was helping us move the needle and move us forward. And I just wanted to give our community a different leadership style. And not saying that mine was perfect, but I knew it was different. And my purpose was to move the needle so we can believe in ourselves, in the potential that we have, continue to hope, but beyond belief and hope, get out there and do the work to make it change. And that's what I've been doing. And that's who I am. From a small child. My mom used to have me volunteer at Miss LeBlanc house, cleaning her house. She was an elderly woman that lived near us. And Miss LeBlanc would give me 2 pieces of candy. You know those little cinnamon disc and butterscotch? That's
Mm-hmm.
my favorite candies to this day. The people say you eat old people candy.
Right.
But it graded me as a young girl. And so I did it throughout my life. And when I became a young adult here, giving back in the community. And now, as an old girl, um, that's what I see this role as county councilwoman, as to give back to my community, but not only give back, engage my community so that they can give to themselves.
Hmm.
Teach a man how to fish, and he should eat his entire lifetime. And that's what we want to do. I learn from our community, and I hope to share my experience to help them learn something as well.
Thank you so much for painting us that picture of who you are. You know, UGK is one of my favorite artists. So when you said that, I had a connection there, and also just a lot of things that come up around just serving and service. I also do want to lift up because I listen to a lot of meetings, boy, and like how your mind works. I'm like, yeah, she's on a whole other planet, just how you process information and things. So I get the engineer there. I definitely do receive that. And you touch on, again, you wanting to serve in this role is to, again, help your community. But I think I want you to really drill down again, like, because okay, so we about educating the people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you could just tell folks what your role as councilwoman is,
I'm sorry.
the easiest way,
We,
what is it?
we make the laws that the residents of St. Louis County must abide by, right? So those are ordinances that we put forth that say, okay, whether it be an ordinance to do certain things to calm down the speeding, or if it's an ordinance that says, okay, we need to start preparing for the future. So we can't wait until the future gets here. Let's work with electrical vehicle charging stations. So these are the laws and the codes that we need to put in place to move our community forward. So we make the laws that are to benefit our community, to make St. Louis County the best place to live, work, play, and worship. So that is basically what we do. We make the laws from a basket of areas that we want to help push our community forward.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to put it on the record for people to
Yes.
know. My other follow-up, and again, I have to congratulate you for your reelection as chair of the St. Louis County Council. So can you tell folks that may not be aware, like what does that as chair of the St. Louis County Council, on top of your role as councilwoman representing the fourth district, what does that additional chair responsibility, what does that like entail?
So that entails working with my peers in order to pass legislation. That entails, you will know, behind the scenes in the office, making sure that because the clerks in the office, the head clerk, they have to report to me, the auditor, they report to the council as well. And so providing that leadership and to move us forward in passing legislation, dealing with the budget, getting audits done, internal audits done for the county, and then making sure that our staff has what they need. So each council person has a legislative assistant, but then as the chair, your legislative assistant is responsible for hosting those legislative assistant meetings, making sure everybody's aware. And I just have to put a shout out to Shantae Harmon Young. So I drive her
Yes,
crazy
shout out Shantae, shout out to Shantae.
occasion each and every. And so again, she's even taken it a step further to create a working bond, I want to say, with the assistants. I mean, I get jealous because they come up with, they wear a color. Each assistant picks a color, and each week, and they around there all color coordinated. Like, I want to wear that color. This not for you. This just for the assistants. So again, I give a shout out to Shantae, just how phenomenal she is with working with our her colleagues and legislative assistants. She is just that phenomenal in the community. You know, when you can't get to me, because I work full time. I cannot give up my Boeing career and my Boeing paycheck. So I work full time, and she's that first line of engagement in our office. She's that first line of response in our office. And uh, most times she's handled it before it even comes to my forefront. So all of the constituent care comes through her first, and then it comes to me. And if it gets to me, that means there is truly something that she cannot work through. And it's a real issue because she is very resourceful.
Oh
So
yeah.
resourceful, people skills. She may have too many people skills sometimes. I'm just kidding.
But
But
I appreciate you lifted something up that I was gonna ask, because you got a whole full-time job.
yes, ma'am.
In
Yeah.
addition to, so again, we like to provide that information to the public for people to get an understanding, right, of the task at hand as council, as a councilwoman. And I mean, you ran for this, you knew what you signed up for. But I
Knocked
just
on I knocked on their doors. So I am a full-time, I am full-time employed at the Boeing Company, and I'm grateful that my employee sees the value of community and allows me to have that flexibility in my schedule, so I can do a flex schedule that will accommodate me doing Tuesday evenings at the council or Tuesday afternoons on the council. But I work my full work week, um, and I also am a mother, and I've worked. So people ask me, how do you balance all this? So first and foremost, I'm a mom. We've been balancing all your life when you're a mom, right? But the other thing with that is I do have great teams. As I spoke to about Shantae, she's a great, phenomenal team of one. I have a great team on my Boeing that I manage at the Boeing Company that are knowledgeable people where I can set captain intent, I can set expectations, I can give strategy, and they can execute. So that helps as well. But they've always been very supportive there. But I love my career at Boeing too. And I have to be honest with people. When I first took on this opportunity, I always said, I'm not making a career out of this. I did it for the true passion of my community. One, because I had 3 kids that was in college. Okay. The county salary for a council person cannot handle that at all. So it's definitely not about a salary working at the council, and it's not about a title. It's about doing the work. However, I do get to do my work at Boeing as well. So balancing that takes a lot of prayer. great teams, as I mentioned as well, planning. And I can always tell when I haven't done my pre-work planning because it just feels like go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
But when I've done my pre-work planning, the go, go, go is there, but I'm already prepared for it. I'm already 2 steps ahead because I know this is going to happen. So this person's going to take care of this, and then I'm going to follow up on that. So I worked that chess game of managing my schedule. Am I perfect at it? No. Do I have shortcomings? Yes. Am I Beyonce and flawless? No. I'm trying to be, but I'm not there at all.
Hey,
So it's
you know,
those realistic
you can. Yeah, you're doing the best you can with the team to make sure that you're able to, because it truly takes a village. It truly.
and a great leadership support as well at Boeing. So it's I thank God, and I'm not just saying this. I thank God for favor, and I thank God grace and mercy, and for people that truly care about me. Because sometimes it gets a lot, especially when you're passionate about something. Like I'm passionate about people. My whole thing is to do right by people. Don't patronize them. Don't promise something and don't deliver. Don't give them what you want them to have. Give them what they need and what they've expressed to you that they need. So I'm allowed to serve in this capacity because I believe that I have been blessed. And I talked about my Boeing team and I talked about my county team, but then that's just a team web that live at 3829. And that team web is phenomenal. Starting with my husband, I always tell people I get to focus on the community because he keep his head on the swivel for the politics because I can't do the politics. I don't have time for the whisper campaigns and the
Right. No.
telephone game, and I got to work on the people things, and the extra I don't want to deal with that. And then
Right.
I have 3 sons, and they act like they my dads, but they really, I feel like sometimes I'm the child of 4 dads, but I have 3 sons, and when I say they show up for their mom, I won my whole first campaign. The groundwork was done by my sons and their basketball friends on their basketball team and their football friends from their football team.
Shout
That
out. Shout out.
that
Shout
was
out to Team Web. Shout out to
the
Team.
bond of my husband and my children and their friends.
Shout out. That's real right there. That is real love. So I wanted to get into, and you mentioned this a little bit when you're talking about your role as councilwoman. Y'all make the law. So but it's there's a little nuance there, and I wanted you to kind of talk about it a little bit because people think, oh well, St. Louis County Council, so y'all make the laws for all of St. Louis County, right? And it's not like that. So can you kind of speak to that, because we have unincorporated St. Louis County, we have our municipalities, so your Jennings, your Dale Woods, your Fergusons, your Bell Fountain neighbors, et cetera, et cetera. So can you kind of speak to what does that like kind of that authority that St. Louis County has? Can you speak to that a little bit? Because people get that a little, yeah, we don't really mention that and talk about that a lot.
Well, thank you. And thank you for helping me to elaborate on that. That is a clear distinction that needs to be made. Yes, as St. Louis County Council, we make the laws for St. Louis unincorporated county. So anywhere there's a municipality where there's a mayor and they have their own alderman, or alder board, or they have their own council, they set the laws for that community, city, municipality. Prime example, and I want to use this because I just worked on this legislation. At the end of the fall, I passed legislation to limit open carry. The limit of open carry was that if a person, not if they're brandishing a weapon, not if they're shooting a weapon, not even when they're threatening somebody, but if they just open and carrying a gun, there was no law for or to that the police could use as a tool to, if there was something that's suspicious, to approach that person. So, for instance, there were neighborhoods where young people, because Missouri didn't have a limitation on the age, young people were walking around with guns openly. A police officer couldn't approach them. They could not. There was no law protecting the police, or they could use to say, "Hey, what do you have that gun for?" None of that. So, what it was causing was an intimidation factor in this community, especially among the elderly. I don't believe that no good legislator in the state put forth a law that would want minors carrying around guns, just carrying them around. To the point now, it would pass in 2015, to the point now it's almost a fad where they the butt ends of their guns match their shoes. And I didn't believe that was true until I saw some pictures. But no responsible person would have thought that that would be the consequence of their legislation. That's what I want to believe. That's I truly want to believe that. So I put forth that legislation and say, hey, we don't want to take away people's Second Amendment right, but we want you to be responsible gun owners. So in order to be a responsible gun owner and you want to open carry, then you need to get a conceal and carry license. Well, in order to get a conceal and carry license, you got to be 19 years old. And you're also going to get some type of training. So again, I'm not trying to take away your Second Amendment right. I want you to be a responsible gun owner. And so what it gave the officers a tool to say is if you had a gun and you was a minor, or if you open carry period, and you cannot produce your conceal and carry license, then they get to confiscate the weapon. Now, I work with juvenile detention lead. I'm sorry, the juvenile department leader, Mr. Rick Gaines. My goal isn't to lock up teenagers and throw away the key because they was carrying a gun unlawfully. My goal is to get the unlawful weapon off of the streets. And so now they can confiscate the weapon. If the person has a conceal and carry license, they can just bring it to them with court. You're going to get your weapon back. No harm or foul done. If a person doesn't, though, we get to take that weapon. We can test it to see if it's been used in any crime. We can see if it's legally owned, properly owned. And if it met all those criteria, then we can keep those, meaning that it was illegal, it was involved in some type of illegal activity. We get to keep that weapon. That's another gun off the street. But if it wasn't in violation of any of those laws, then you can go to court and get it back. But most times, if you're a teenager and you have a gun and you bought it off of Facebook or Instagram, or you can't show that legal ownership, you're not coming to court to fight for that weapon. So again, that unlawful weapon will be out the streets. As it pertains, let me wrap this up, as it pertains to going back to municipalities. So that passed in unincorporated St. Louis County. So on one side of Bell Fountain, it's unincorporated. So that rule would apply. The other side of Bell Fountain, that Bell Fountain Road, is Bell Fountain, the municipality, the city. That law does not apply to Bell Fountain. You understand? It applies to unincorporated St. Louis County. And so I need to work with those mayors of those municipalities so they can get some similar legislation so we can be protected across the board, regardless if you're in if you're in Chesterfield, Chesterfield or Baldwin or Clayton, unincorporated St. Louis County, you'll have those same protections across the board. But because we have all these municipalities, when we pass laws in St. Louis County, it is applicable to St. Louis unincorporated, not just all of the county across the board. I hope that provides clarity.
Thank you so much. And that, example was perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better example than that, because that's something that, again, we have conversations about with folks in the community, because it's levels to it. And so thank you so much for clarifying that, because I think it's something that people don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So thank you for clarifying that for folks. So now, something that we've talked about a bit on this platform is the St. Louis County budget. Okay. And, I have conversations with folks with the streets, as I like to say, and people think I'm lying. People don't believe that there are budget concerns with St. Louis County, since, people like, my taxes keep going up, St. Louis County in my pocket. So I know they got it. And, people talking about, dang, St. Louis County, new brand, new logo. Who this? 90K? They got it. It can't be bad. What they talking about? So, can you please, because there are some issues, there are some concerns with the budget. So can you kind of explain to the people out there, because this didn't just happen yesterday. This has been like years and years in the making. So can you please explain to people how we got to where we are today and how bad is it? How bad are things?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity because everybody stay with me because it may take me longer than 2 minutes to explain this. So, first and foremost, we have to understand that St. Louis County collects taxes for all of the special tax districts. So when we say we collecting taxes, we getting the school district taxes, we getting the fire department district taxes, we're getting our personal property tax. So all those special taxing districts, we collect for everybody, right? But all that money does not belong to St. Louis County. In fact, all those increases that we give when we go and vote for those bond issues for the school districts and the fire districts, those increases go to those tax entities, not to St. Louis County. We collect them for them. We provide that service and collect it for them, but those funds do not belong to us. And in fact, St. Louis County taxes has not gone up since the 80s.
Can you say that again,
I'll
please, for the
repeat,
people?
the 80s, this 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 20s now. That's almost 40 years. And at the time, St. Louis County had about the same amount of residents because we haven't grown our population dramatically like we should be working to do to bring in more revenue. But in any case, our population didn't grow, but the amount of land mass has grown. So we spread out. I mean, we don't want to live in North Carolina no more. We're gonna go to Winsville. We don't want to live in North Carolina no more. We're going out there to St. Peter's. But for St. Louis County, that land mass has grown. So that means that we have more roads that we have to take care of. We have more properties that we have to take care of. We have more uh, medical services that for people that we have to take care of. So that span and that growth of just land mass has grown. So think about it. If I have to fix the roads, and we only used to have 20 miles of roads, but we've expanded now. We about St. Louis County, we wrap around 50 miles. We still in St. Louis County. I'm exaggerating, but it has grown. That's on us to take care of all those roads. But our money hasn't gone up. Let me give you another example. So take, for instance, jail services. So a daily cost, an expense to St. Louis County for residents at the jail facility is about $120 a day for each person. We charge municipalities, and we might just recently went up about $10 or so. We was charging municipalities for their residents because remember, all those police municipalities and those police, all of them don't have jails, and so they bring them to St. Louis County. We was charging them $30. Now, who that makes sense to? Now, we don't want to break our municipalities, but we have to be realistic on what the cost is for that. So as I'm giving you an examples of, it costs us, we have more land mass, we have more roads we have to take care of. We're not being, our pricing for services that we help our municipalities out, we may need to raise them some to help us break even sometime. All of that with the same amount of money from 1985. You can't even buy cigarettes for the same cost in 1985 today. Because now this is illegal now. My grandma used to send me to the store. She'd give me $1.25 to get us some Virginia Slims. This is illegal now. You can't keep that no more.
No.
But can you go get some Virginia Slims for $1.25 right now?
No.
Okay, so everything has gone up, but when people think about the county and taxes, they just know they're paying more. But we even had a whole workshop that went around the county to try to explain to people, like, here is the breakdown of the revenue that's collected. All of that revenue does not belong to St. Louis.
Okay.
And the revenue, where that revenue goes and how much St. Louis County keeps. We did a whole road show. There was one at the Flo Valley Library throughout the county to explain to people, because I'm about this. Tell me the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because we cannot keep living like this. And the more complaints, and it's not complaints, it's real. People riding down the street with potholes and they trying to say, county, we paying y'all, fix the potholes. And we come fix it with that black asphalt that when as soon as it get cold, all them rocks popping up and I hit my car hitting that hole again.
Mm-hmm.
And so is yours. but we don't have enough funds to take care of all of our responsibilities. And
Mhm.
that's understanding once again of all the collection we do, all of that doesn't belong to the county. It breaks out to different tax venues or entities. Was that clear enough, Miss Kelly?
Yes, for me that was. If other people have any questions, feel free to share that. And I was able to kind of when there, I don't know if it's still on the website, but there was like an interactive tool,
Mhm.
just to get a sense, yeah, to get a sense of balancing the county's budget and a lot of the other um considerations I will say that's needed to do that. And I learned a lot, and even like on the city side, because I'm a city
Mm,
resident. You know, our local governments, y'all, like they are not like raking in the dough because again, to your point, Chairwoman, like you have services that we have to provide. We have to maintain our roads. We have to maintain all these other things. We have to, even thinking about the city, like trash services and all those other things that cost.
yeah.
And so when you have more and more of those expenses because of sprawl, like people, it's just getting larger and larger, the land mass or whatever the case is, more services being provided, but you don't have additional revenues coming in to help with that, like you gonna be broke. I
Right.
mean, just like anybody else's budget.
You saw that it was on social media. It was a little skit, and they say Jalen uh had $1, 1 quarter, and 2 pennies. How much money does Jalen have? And the little boy said, Jalen broke.
I mean,
County broke. And you think you go, well, you got the Rams money, you had this. But when you call to daily budgeting, the finances that's actually available, the funds available, there is very limited. And so you asked me to say, how bad is it? At one time, it was a $40 million deficit. It's down now. I think it was a little less than 20 million. And that is, again, a budget situation where this past budget season, we approved a budget that some departments got kept at their 2023 spending levels.
mhm,
Why? Because we looked at what they had spent that year. We looked at historical years, how much they spend.
mhm,
And we said, okay, in order to help with some of this deficit, we're going to keep you at your current spending level.
mhm,
Because historically, that's what you've been spending to, right?
mhm.
Well, I understand that some departments feel like, well, you're punishing me for not spending all my budget. No, I'm not punishing you, but I need you to make sure that what you ask for is what you need. And we're at a different place in time right now. So um, I've gotten a lot of pushback on the budget. And I'm just trying to get people to understand, no, we're not going to be able to cut our way out of all of this. It's not that much cutting in America. I don't care how big your scissors are. You're going to have to get some more revenue in the door.
So
What is the biggest way we can get that revenue in the door? Now I'm hoping like we passed the marijuana tax. That was
yeah,
we missed the use tax when everybody else collected on. So maybe St. Louis County learned and we'll do better this time. But we're going to have to increase that because what you're going to end up having to deal with is, do I want excellent service or mediocre service? Right. And for some of us, the county is the only place that we get our health care.
right.
Understand?
That's real. That's real.
Mindful of that as well. So I hope that explains it. And then
Yeah.
we're trying to help with other entities. I'm going to talk about ARPA funds because everywhere I go, I'm gonna keep screaming this to the
Oh,
mouth.
real quick, because because I have I'm looking at my cheat sheet. We're gonna get to that next,
Okay.
but I want to stay on the budget a little bit because I had a question. So, and I was a little bit confused because again, I try to listen. I basically listen to y'all meetings every week,
Okay.
roughly. And during the budget season, like I was so excited last year because for the first time ever in the history of the county, which I was like gagging, if I had pearls, I would have clutched them to know that there had never been like these collaborative budget meetings. So with council members, the county executive, folks from the different departments, the budget people,
Mhm.
y'all would meet, and this didn't happen before. But y'all last year kind of like instituted like doing this new thing where you would meet every month and to discuss and go through the challenges, not only just challenges throughout with the different departments and things, but even like coming up with like solutions or additional opportunities to generate that revenue. And I was like so excited because I'm like, yay, we doing something, right? We moving in the right direction. And then like during the budget season and the hearings, I was a little confused. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little confused. And I wasn't engaged with all of the monthly meetings. But I was confused because I'm like, yo, like, I feel like this is a great opportunity to really come up with like again different thoughts and ideas and opportunities. And it just like I was like, damn, like I was so hurt, like a little bit, because it just seemed like it was just like a lot of missed opportunities to really discuss and think through again not only just the challenges but brainstorm potential solutions and things in a different space. And so my question to you is, are y'all still gonna have your monthly meetings, or like, like, and if so, like, will some things change with that, or like again just thinking about how will efforts continue again to collaborate, because I know you're all about collaboration. So I just wanted to ask if those were going to continue or not.
So we would look at those opportunities to collaborate. It may not be in the same shape and form as last year, but we will be going forth with having more engagement with departments throughout the year. So I'm just like you, I was baffled because I was geeked about, you say I like to collaborate. I do. I don't want to pretend like I know all the answers because I don't. And it's no need for me to even pretend. I don't. So let me get some subject matter experts, including the department heads. Let's talk through this and work through it. And I remember going to Councilwoman Days about this, and when she championed this while she was chairwoman, and put this before the county executive, we really pushed for this because, hey, we trying to work together. We don't want to just be, oh, we vote on it at the end of the year. First, it's so much information that you cannot consume and digest all of that information between October and November. It's just
Yeah. And I want to lift that up too real quick for people that aren't aware. I want to say basically the process is like the county, the department heads, they submit their budgets. The county executive, I want to say maybe he submits his like proposal. Is it like maybe in September or October? Okay. And then October to the end of the year, which the end of the year don't even count because once you get to the holidays, I
it's,
mean,
you have to be ready.
2 weeks. So y'all have that much time to
To
go through all of y'all, it is like, gangbusters. Like they be having these hearings, and that is so much information to do in really like a month and a half. That is not a lot of time to be able to process all that information and to like kind of connect some dots and other things. It's not a lot of time.
All right. And so that was the purpose of part of the meeting, right? So we was going to meet all way before, starting last spring, before the spring, into the winter, having these meetings and weekly meetings. And then once a month they was going to be public so everybody can see. Now they were underneath the leadership of the county executive, but he invited myself as the chair and two other council members, and I picked a person from each side of the aisle because let's all come together. And we set expectations of, okay, they want to know what we want to see. So we want to say, okay, tell us about what your budget and your big projects are. Tell us about any way you can see us getting more revenue through some fees or things that you're doing. Tell us about if the worst happened and we could not deliver everything, what would be your top three, or name for us 3 to 5 projects, mostly 3, that you would say, okay, might have to stop doing this service. Let's be real about this, because again, you can't cut your way out of everything. But at the same time, if we don't have enough money, okay, we just like at home. If it's tight, okay, cut that cable off. Okay, if it's tight, okay, we going down from 5 lines to 2 lines on these cell phones. Y'all two sharing and y'all two sharing. You understand what I'm saying? So you make decisions. That's the same thing. That's how we approach this. And my colleagues, they came in good faith and worked on both sides of the aisle, but it was a missed opportunity because we couldn't penetrate through not just giving us the surface stuff, but let's really have a good discussion. And some of that come with trust. And some of that comes with, oh, you all going to just do what you've done before. And I kept trying to guarantee it will not be the same, because eventually I wanted our budget process not to just focus on, okay, give me a balanced budget, but also to look at things that are outcome driven. So we're going to look at, okay, Department of Human Resources, you only get $4 million a year. However, your services far outweigh, because you're bringing in grants, you're bringing in all this other revenue, and then look at the service you're providing through the Kathy Wyman House or through your food programs. So that's eventually where we want to get. But we have to get over this hump of the just give me a balanced budget, or you know, some factor of what you did last year. I really wanted people to buckle down and talk with us about, okay, this is where our money is. This is, and we talked about vacancies too, because every department doesn't have all of those people hired. But let's get down to, okay, explain to me how much money you really, really need. And explain to me what programs you really can support. And if you don't get all these funds, what programs are going to be sacrificed or streamlined or suspended for a time period until we can get more revenue in. But we didn't get all of that. And that's what frustrated me as a nerd. Like, I want to see the pivot tables, but everybody else doesn't, right? Or maybe some don't want to see pivot tables in that breakdown. But I need to understand, okay, you only spent 89% of your budget last year. Let me hold you to that this year. But I also said, we'll revisit if you need more funding next year, second quarter, because nobody's running out of money the first quarter. You have you got enough money to pay your staff and do all your programs. Now, second quarter, towards the end of the second quarter, I can see, well, okay, it's tight here. Let's go back before the council, and we might need to get a supplemental budget. So those are the things we wanted to do. And I'm sorry for dragging this out so long, but we missed some opportunities when we didn't have those clear, transparent conversations. It
Yes.
hurt us because we still ended up at the end of the year with, and a lot of departments like, what's going on? Okay, I'm gonna go with the data that I have. This budget for 2024.
Yeah. Again, I was on the outside watching it, and I was just like, dang. But I have one more question about the budget. We're gonna get to ARPA. For residents out there that are maybe really interested, they want to engage in the process. Maybe they have some ideas or solutions. What are ways that they can plug in?
So the same, first you can call your council person directly, but interactively on your own. That website is still, I mean, that site, that simulation is still available on this county website. And the last time I checked, that was earlier this year, but it's still available on the website where you can go and interact. So go to St. Louis County website, and then go. There is a link directly there that talks about the budget simulation, and it was still available. And Kelly, if that's changed, we'll send you the new link so you can broadcast it out.
Thank you so much. I gotta let we gotta have people, if they want to tap in and be engaged. I always try to provide them with those opportunities.
And
Real quick,
we want them to, because you might have
you
insight.
have to.
So hey, we in this together. I don't just say that. I'm sincere. You may have some talents that make me look at something like, oh, I didn't consider that. So let's take that into consideration and work through a solution.
Facts. I want to shout out Miss Sharon, aka Miss Cookie. She sends her regards. She says
Yeah,
hello. So I want to shout her out. Hey, Miss
yeah.
Cookie.
I text the other day. I wasn't ignoring it. I just saw it earlier today when I was catching up on stuff. But
Uh,
you are doing a phenomenal job as our representative on the Older Adults Commission. Thank you so much, Miss Cookie.
yes.
Aaron Cookies Mitchell.
Yes. Shout out to her. So ARPA. ARPA. So before we get into the question that the streets have, I want so ARPA, for people that aren't aware, is the American Rescue Plan Act uh funding. And I don't know, can you provide just a little bit of information about that, Chairwoman, about what ARPA is for people that aren't aware of what that funding is?
So the American Rescue Plan Act was enacted right after COVID, right? And it was supposed to help us to uh, re-engage our communities, to help out in some needed areas that were uh, some areas of despair that were hard hit from COVID. And so it spanned from workforce development to food insecurities to public safety. It was a wide ranging opportunity where we was getting these federal funds to infuse in our communities to address and to recover from COVID. Now, it wasn't CARES Act money, which was directly during COVID, where we had, well, I think we got $173 million that the council at that time voted to give to the county executive, and he had authority on where to appropriate all of those funds. And certain things didn't pan out the way that we thought, and there was some help, some good help, but there was some areas that could have done a lot better. And so with the ARPA money that we got from the federal government, we as St. Louis County and counties and cities around the country was able to evaluate their funds and determine whether they feel that it would better benefit the community if we were to infuse certain funds there. And so the county got what about 196 million. It was a large chunk of money. I can't remember exactly. It was a little bit more than the CARES Act money. In either case, the initial funds we received, we gave almost half of that money to the county executive to make the budget whole, right? Because remember, we in this budget deficit. So we was like, off top, we all agree, give half to the county executive, put it in a general fund so he can make the budget whole and we can start moving the needle and moving forward. The remaining of those funds, which started off at almost 100 million, and then it dwindled to 90 something million, and then it dwindled to 80 something million. Those funds was to be given to the community. And we didn't just give them to the community. We spent a whole year going out to the communities. Once again, my thoughts was, if we go out to the community and hear from the community what they think our priorities should be with this ARPA funding. We did that. Once again, partnering with the county exec in his office, let's go to all of our communities. We went to our communities. They gave us feedback. We took surveys in. They gave us feedback on what was the priorities. Then council members that was on a team, myself and two of my council members, might have been four. No, two, because we got to stay at three. But anyway, we went through the process of saying, okay, we get this feedback. We see the priorities. Every district priorities wasn't the same. In the district I served, the priorities were food insecurities, public safety, and so food insecurity, public safety, and the demolition of Jamestown Mall. Okay, because everybody else didn't have a Jamestown Mall. So those were our priorities. So we put forth, okay, we're going to appropriate funds. So right off the top, we took $6 million for Jamestown because it needs to come down. It's been standing there for 10 years. And if you pass by there lately, y'all, I mean, I just went by there today. It's barely got Macy's still up. It's like half of Macy's standing. Everything else is gone. It is just mind-boggling to me that we sat with that for 10 years. And now in less than when they start doing this in November, October, less than 4 months, it's almost all gone. So anyway, I went on a tangent. Let me come back. So we then took the money based on the priorities and said we're going to allocate to certain entities, sub-recipients, to help with programming. So we selected stuff for food insecurities like Rustic Roots. We selected Red Circle. We gave money to JADISTA. We appropriated money to JADISTA for domestic violence, and another entity working with Judge Burton in that same area. We did Family Forward out in Bridgeton. We appropriate money, child care where we appropriated money to them. And then we even appropriated money to Councilman Trake's district to help take people personal septic tanks out. I didn't know we did that, but we did, because that what their community said was a priority. So we appropriated these funds. That was in 2022, y'all. We named that in 2022, give this amount, give this organization this amount. In 2023, so 2021, we went around, get what you all wanted us to do. What do we want to put our focus on? 2022, we appropriate the funds to the people that could provide those certain services. In 2023, the county executive with our consultants, Deloitte, helped put together a 10-step program that all sub-recipients had to go through in order to get the money. So
I'm sorry.
get the money.
quick question here. I'm not trying to cut you off and mess up your train of thought, but there is a time frame too, right? Of when these
Yes. So all monies have to be appropriated by the end of this year. So if those, and not just appropriate, but those who receive those appropriations have to have those funds in hand. So that timeline is the end of December 2024. If not, we either have to give that money back to the federal government, like they gave us free money, and because we ain't put it in the people's hand, we're gonna give it back to them, or we put it in general revenue. And once again, that general revenue means that we don't get to fulfill the promises that we made. It is now back up into the county executive to decide where he would like to put those funds. So that is where the issue lies, because we have made commitments to these sub-recipients throughout our communities. And now you're saying, oh, never mind what we promised you all. We're going to give it all in general revenue. And some may get it, some may not get it. And that's something that I cannot chance, because we made these people for a whole year jump through hoops all of 2023, go to training, give business plans, show their procurement plan, plan, go through more training, write out all kind of documentation. We made people jump through these hoops for a whole year. Money we already promised them the year before. We told them in 2022, give Rustic Roots $250,000 to help them provide fresh produce and things in our communities. Those contracts for majority of those sub-recipients were ready to go in October of 2020. The county exec had them on his desk since October of 2023. He could have signed those and those funds would have been dispersed, because with ARPA money, it takes care of the administrative costs. So any compliance you need to deal with, it's a part of that allocation. It's the money that they need to execute the program. So all what it takes to run the program, execute a program, report that you're being compliant, all that money is already set aside. So now they've been sitting on the county exec desk since October. And this is my problem. The budget passed and the budget is less than what he asked for. And now he's saying, oh, we can't do ARPA because we need more money from the budget. I'm like, what part of this budget ARPA funds? Because they are two separate entities.
Yeah.
And that you don't have resources to do that, that may be true. But that's not ARPA fault. That's not those sub-recipients' fault. And in fact, you tell me what more your departments and your people need to do, how much more work they have. Put a price tag on it, and let's come back to the table and compromise. Don't send me your wish list of all the stuff that wasn't in the budget you want back. Tell me what it needs to get ARPA done. And so that's the impasse that we're in right now.
Oh, geez. I was gonna say, has there been any movement? So that's where we are right now.
Letter today. So I've been working with the county exec's office for more than 3 weeks now, asking them to, okay, tell me what more work you need to do to help ARPA get out the door. And the first thing they tell me is, well, we can't talk until you give us money back in the budget. Okay, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Tell me what your departments, first you tell me the departments that are impacted by ARPA. Because don't send me Parks and Recreation and nothing in these ARPA recipients have anything to do with Parks and Recreation. And plus, their budget wasn't reduced. So let's play fair here. Let's play fair. I'm willing to work in good faith. Y'all come working in good faith. So now I've been asking I need a meeting with Deloitte, our consultants that is supposed to come out and, make sure everybody's compliant. I need y'all to come back to the table because we haven't talked to y'all in a year. We pay you all very well.
Yeah. They got a grip.
We pay them very well. So come to the table. And they're willing to come to the table. I tried to have this meeting before the end of the year, and nobody from the county exec office or the departments came. They sent one person. And I was like, this is really, really disingenuous to send this one person when we need to talk to all these impacted departments, and for them not to come, and then them not to ask the Lord to come either, to tell the Lord not to come to the meeting. I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
I remember watching one. I don't know if this is the same meeting, but I remember listening into a meeting about a ARPA update, and it
Nobody.
it was like one person, I forget what his role was. He was there and he was, he was trying to do the best he could.
Call his name, but let's give him credit. He did his best, and he's been
He
involved in
did.
the ARPA process. And I'm not saying he doesn't have a level of understanding, but
Right.
there are things that we need to talk directly to the Lord, our compliance consultant,
Yeah.
and we need to talk to those departments so we can be clear on what you actually need to do to finish your ARPA obligations.
Right.
So
Um,
I'm just, and look, full disclosure, I'm still at the table wanting to talk, but I'm not for the foolishness. We don't have time for the foolishness. I mean, we can't wait 2 more years. I've heard Dr. Pace say, well, Shalonda, I just wait 2 years. Okay, my community can't wait 2 years. And this is something that we should be able to work through. If you're really about making St. Louis County opportunity central, have you seen that tagline? Let's be about it. Let's not just talk about it. And here's an opportunity for them to be about it.
are there, so I know these conversations, y'all are at this impasse, but are there ways that residents, can weigh in, share feedback, come to meeting? Like, are there ways that residents can kind of like can push to make sure that these nonprofits get the coins that they were promised?
And they have started a petition. Miss Cookie was working on some of that petition, and those petitions were turned in, and Dr. Page's office sent them, each one of those people that signed the petition, a letter explaining to them that, well, because the council cut our budget, we can't do that. That is again disingenuous and not the whole truth.
Mm.
And so what he took for us doing our due diligence, members of our community saying, no, the community really wants you all to follow through. What they did, instead of being transparent about it, they took those people who signed those petitions and sent them a letter just from him, just from the county executive. It did not take in consideration all of the facts from the county council, as from the council members as well. And so I'm asking those people not to get tired. Even the sub recipients, they've been on the news, they've sent letters,
Yeah.
they've had meetings. They are not resting on their laurels either. And it's our responsibility as council people to stand with them because we made them a promise. So they didn't just wake up one morning and say, County Council, give me $250,000. They ain't not going out door asking for that. We went to them and told them we was going to deliver this because they do excellent services in our community, and we want to help them expand and do more. So they've done, and then on top of that, they jumped through all the hoops. So now it's on us as council members to say, no, we stand with you, and we're going to work to get this to the finish line fairly, with integrity and equity.
Man. And I want to lift up too, in the before there was a Transform 314, we were part of those efforts to try to get that feedback and
Sure.
for residents to identify those priorities in each of the districts. And so
District 4 was the first one to do it, and then everybody kind of took your pilot and your lead, and we applied it to all of the rest of the districts. So you know the work that we put in. It
yeah,
was
this yes. So that's why I'm like, this is so like it's very saddening. However, the work continues. We
right.
can't
And
give up.
because I'm just going to say this too, it's about trust.
Mhm.
We always tell people that we're working on your behalf, trust us, trust us. But when they really trust us and they came to the meetings and they did everything that we asked them to do, and for you to flip the script on them in the 11th hour, not all the trust we tried to restore and build, that credibility, you just pull a rug from underneath them. So now when I go back and say, okay, I know last time,
Yeah.
they're gonna look like, no, Shalonda, the last time we did all of that, and they still deliver on the commitment and promise that they made, that you all made. You
Yeah.
made some promises on your word, and now you're switching up the song. So I apologize, but I am passionate about it. And I'm sure you hear it in my voice. And when I these hands. I'm like, oh Lord.
No, but it's that's what we need to hear, and I think that's what people need to hear. Because sometimes we don't get that, we don't see that part of our elected leaders, and speaking and hearing that in their voice, in their hands, and all of those things. So thank you for sharing that information, y'all. To be continued on those topics that we talked about here. I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time you hear about those topics. And I'm looking at the time because I respect people's time. So, Chairwoman, thank you again for hopping on our little platform, speaking about some of those most pressing issues that the streets be talking about me a lot. But before we close out, I want to give you an opportunity. If you have anything you wanted to lift up, want folks to be aware of, anything you wanted to share, I wanted to be sure you had that space to do so.
So I want people to know that just because it's difficult or hard, that doesn't mean I'm going to shy away from it. And we shouldn't shy away from hard. So keep working together. Keep being engaged. Keep making sure I am accountable. All your elected leaders, if you cannot have a conversation with them where there may not be all rose glasses, then that's a problem. Always want to be tactful and respectful, but let's work through the hard together. I tell people all the time, I'm not afraid of the hard conversations, even when I'm the shortcoming of it or when I'm the one that's in the wrong. That's okay. As long as we're doing it, we know we're doing it in love to help and not hurt and hinder somebody. Let's do that, because if we don't have these honest and open conversations, our communities don't get better. They just be passively dealt with and used as pawns when it's convenient for other people. So let's work together to keep our communities whole and moving forward. And lastly, I'm just excited. I'm excited. It's going to be a challenging year, but I'm excited. And in that excitement, I will share that I am running for reelection because I believe the good stuff that we started, we can do more. And so reach out to me. I do not want to be someone saying, well, I only hear from them at election time. That is so far from the truth. And if you've never reached out to our office just to test the water to see if we really bought it. I remember I'm from Texas and Louisiana border. That we bought it, give us a call. Give us a call. We will answer and we will get back with you. So thank you so much. So
Wow.
much. All the wonderful things you're doing. Keep doing your great work, and whatever I can do to help you, not just in words, but in actions, please reach out so we can do it together.
Yes, and I will be sharing Chairwoman Webb's contact information as well when we post this video for folks if they want to reach out. She said it. They body about it. Okay. And she done brought out the Master P. So it's real. This is
I'm
real.
such a girl. I'm such a 90s
This is
girl.
real. I love it. No, but I mean, St. Louis, we love we Southern too. We love our Southern stuff. So you in good company. Thank you so much, Chairwoman, for hopping on this platform with us. Before we officially close out, Transform 314, I got to make my announcement. We have our monthly meetup happening Thursday, February 15th. 6 p.m. at the Deaconess Center for Child Wellbeing. I'm really excited because we are going to start getting into some policies to address our jacked up streets in the city of St. Louis. People aren't aware of one policy that's on the books in the city, and it's called the Complete Streets Policy. So we're going to kind of get into that a little bit more and start thinking about ways that we can bring about the changes that we want to see when it comes to improving our streets, because it's more than just a pothole, right? It is a symptom. And any way we can address that symptom to make sure that we have more investments in our communities, to make sure we're safe, we're thriving, and we are happy, we're going to do that. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Be safe out there, and you will hear from me soon. Take care. Peace.